you said there were a number of these. I mean, there's the Matterhorn at Regis College, right out in the front lawn. You know, do they qualify for an earth removal special permit?
I was wondering about that.
That's the stockpile.
Okay, let me clarify on the Regis College situation. John Field and I have had several discussions. He is thinking, based on his research, that educational institutions may be exempt pretty much from any permitting.
Well, that's why we wrote
So-
the bylaw.
Well, no.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is the reason we wrote the bylaw.
He's thinking that, you know, based on what's happening at Regis, that it probably isn't going to require earth movement.
Why?
But the Goddard School did.
Well,
It's a residential area.
Well, so is Regis.
so is Regis. Well, and then also I've had discussions with him regarding Cambridge School in Weston, and he's thinking that that would be exempt as well from
Why?
earth movement. I think I don't know exactly, but
Can we
so
just,
let me
well,
just say.
No,
Ask town council.
wait a minute. God damn it. The reason why we wrote the bylaw was to take care of exactly this kind of construction. We wrote it in response to a school that took down a 30-foot hill. This was intended to apply to educational and nonprofit institutions and businesses. That's why we did it.
You exempted all of it.
Yes, everything else is residential is automatically exempted.
Right.
That means it applies to nothing.
So here's
God damn it.
I am drafting a letter to Joel Bard with detailed explanation. John will be looking at it tomorrow, putting in his additions, and then I'll ship it off to Joel and basically state, we presently have something underway. Could you get back to us within a short period of time?
I will say this to the camera. This is an outrageous state of affairs. That we actually wrote the bylaw in cooperation with the building inspector, and the building inspector knew from day one that this was meant to address exactly this kind of situation. And I think it's disingenuous beyond belief for the building inspector to then say the very uses that we wrote the bylaw to cover are exempt. It's just beyond outrageous.
Having not been involved in that background, my mission is to try to fix it.
Fix it.
And I think you got the right idea, writing a letter that he writes with you
Right.
to Joel Bard, get a letter back. My only thought is it's before us. If we could get an answer back
Right.
from Joel, you know, for at least verbally, you know, immediately, and you know, we'll wait for his written response. But if he can at least do it verbally, you know, before our next hearing,
Why was
that would be great.
Gifford not exempted? Why was Gifford School not exempted?
Okay, so that's how you find this.
I'm just
rhetorical questions.
I don't know
help with
the
this
answer.
They actually do.
His
Well,
anger is not
this is-
directed at you.
No, I understand that.
This is inexplicable to me. I
Well,
mean, we actually imposed we imposed this on Gifford School, on Goddard School, and other schools are exempted. It's nonsensical.
I think what's happening is that there has been some case law. I also think he's referring to Mark Bobrowski's book, which basically states it doesn't appear to, Mark Bobrowski's recommendations appear to be that it doesn't require any educational use or philanthropic use does not require site plan or special permits. My contention,
That's not
from
true.
what I understand, is that the use is allowed, but reasonable dimensional requirements, which the town has,
Yes.
So we're gonna clarify that.
I mean, we
We're gonna-
have it right in our bylaw, limited site plan approval for exactly this kind of construction. For, the Dover Amendment is a use exemption. It's not a
Right.
blank
Yeah, I
check to build
understand
anything
that.
you like.
Right. Well, and the other thing that I want to clarify with Joel is the ZBA's decision on 2 North Avenue. Basically, the applicant was requested a variance, and they didn't really, the ZBA didn't really use the V word in their decision. They just said what they're proposing is reasonable. So I want a clear direction from Joel of if this person is asking for variance relief, where, what does the ZBA need to provide? I mean, do they have to say, and I would argue, I tend to be conservative about this, is saying, the ZBA needs to say, yes, you've requested a variance from 5.2.1.
State
and
explicitly.
And this is the variance we're granting. So hopefully Joel will clarify all of these issues. And,
I think we're going to have to get, I see a whole series of memoranda. What other properties are we talking about besides those 3?
Well, so for example, tonight, the issue of the lot lines were brought up. And, Cambridge School of Weston and also Gifford School. Gifford School's gonna be coming in with a small building. And again, they have an internal lot line, and they're proposing to build within 15 feet of their side yard when 35 is required. So, does that require a variance? Does that require, this is reasonable, or what does that require? So I'll cite a series of examples and make it clear that we need guidance on 40A Section 3 in terms of reasonable dimensions and what exactly each board's jurisdiction is.
Well, right now, we have a set of standards in our own zoning bylaw,
Right.
which were written by a person who is now a land court judge.
Right, Judy,
Yeah,
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, who actually wrote those review standards in the bylaw. So the answer is, everything is not exempt, because right there we have a whole list of things that are subject to planning board review. And
But I think what you mentioned before, it's possible there's been case law which may affect that.
Yeah.
So it's better to get the up-to-date, this is the word now. The law is dynamic, it's
Yeah.
not static. So,
Well, Goddard School
Yeah, I mean-
referenced the Norfolk case, and I read the case, so I had some understanding of it, and it's exactly as Al says.
Yeah.
It was one of those cases where,
hasn't been updated like that.
no, I
Yeah, this is
didn't
recent.
think so, I
This
don't
is-
think so.
this is fairly
So-
recent,
So
yeah.
let's get the word
But
from
this zoning was
council.
recodified in 2009, right?
Yeah,
This-
most-
this zoning.
Right, so most of those cases happened before 2009.
Right.
right.
So we'll get clarification.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's gonna get, again, in 2015, we're gonna do the building codes all over.
Right, right.
Not the
Well-
building code, she's talking about the zoning,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
recodified the zoning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the building, well, there's, you can keep most of what's there, you're moving more toward the international building codes.
Enforcement.
Yeah, what,
And
I-
skating pond, we talked about having some kind of working session to see if we could work out.
well, I thought where we wound up was, with, writing, David wants to write an enforcement request letter to the building inspector. That we've noticed that they're in violation, and iterate the violations and ask the building inspector to enforce the
Well,
decision.
that's what he said he would like to, in order to do that.
Right, if we, I
He
mean,
was
that
sitting,
was,
right in the chair you were sitting.
that was one of the avenues we discussed.
Okay,
The other avenue was the one that you just mentioned, which is a smaller working group to see if we can hammer out some kind of a resolution. So, you know, the question is, what are we gonna do? Write the enforcement request letter or do the work in the smaller group? Because I don't think it's both. It's one or the other.
Potentially you offer him a working session. If he's not willing to do a working session, then you hit him with an
That's
enforcement.
what I vote for that.
If you try the conciliatory approach first.
Well,
Yeah, the
also
other one is
because
confrontational.
it's confrontational and it's gonna feel to him like they came and looked at this and that's the next thing that happened.
Got
What-
sandbagged.
Yeah, what about something, what about a dialogue? So
Agreed. Right, it's just, but the discovery was every time we looked somewhere that he had done something he wasn't supposed to do.
No, it was sort of one
troubling.
surprise after another.
Right. Well, but those are the things we have to talk to him about.
Yes.
Um,
No, I think that's
if
right.
he agrees to meet with us.
I think that's the right approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will draft a letter for the chair to sign, and then we can ship it out, and,
Well, we don't need to write a letter. It's a telephone call to Jonathan White.
okay. Okay, I can
That
do
would
that.
be correct.
But then, is that a meeting with the whole board or?
No, I don't think so.
I mean,
Does the
Do you
other
want
people think that?
one or two
Oh, yeah. Kim should be
representatives?
at that meeting.
Kim, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and then one or two board members?
yeah.
I'm going for the summer. I'm coming back for these meetings in July.
Somebody just negatively volunteered.
I
I
negatively,
ain't doing it.
I negatively moved out of it. Sorry.
are we ready to entertain an adjournment
Second?
motion? I'm asking for permission.
Yeah. Wait a minute,
All
who's
right.
the chairman here?
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
I
Okay.